welcome everyone to another edition of the Throwing Bagels Podcast. I'm Kevin Mooney. Thank you for being with us. Joined as always by Chris Douglas. Hey, Chris.
What's up, Kevin? How's it going?
Hey, great. How are you, sir?
Hanging in there, man.
Hanging in there. Jason Hamo with us as well. Hola, Jason.
Hello there. How are you?
Hello. Fantastic. How is your evening going?
It'll be a lot better if the Rangers win after we were, on the date we're recording this.
Fingers crossed. It's a Monday night where we won't tell Jason the score. It's on pause, everyone. So don't tell him the score.
That's right. Don't text in.
So at this time, we welcome in another fantastic guest on the Throwing Bagels podcast, who is yet another Oswego State alum. It's our pleasure to welcome in the creative director of MGM Plus, Mr. Dan Platt. Dan.
Hello, gentlemen. Lovely to see you all. Been a while. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Here we are. We all look exactly the same.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So, Dan, let's start everything off by talking about the MGM Plus original series From. Now, I've heard a lot about this show. It's getting a lot of rave reviews. What is that show all about?
From is an incredible show that takes place in a town where those who enter the town cannot leave the town. And the trouble is, at night, monsters come out from the woods and basically try and rip your face off. So, yeah, that's the gist of it. It's done very well for us. It's an amazing group of people who produced the show, an amazing cast, crew. So it's been a real privilege to work on that series for we're going into season 3 now. So it's been pretty amazing.
And how have you been involved with the show?
So I work on a lot of the promotional video that goes along with, we create the trailers, behind the scenes pieces. I was up in Halifax, Nova Scotia last month, shooting with cast and crew, and then we go back and we put some behind the scenes stuff together. And we do radio spots, video spots, social spots, all kinds of stuff. And we just released a teaser for the 3rd season, and it's pretty amazing to be able to work on something and then see people making reaction videos based on something that you've created with your team. So it's been pretty awesome. It's an amazing show. Everyone should check it out.
So that's where it's taped, Nova Scotia?
Yes. Yeah.
Solely in Nova Scotia? That's it. No Hollywood?
There's no Hollywood. You'd be surprised. A lot of, I guess, could you call it American television shoots up in Canada for a variety of reasons, but there's a lot of production going on up there.
Mm-hmm. And I understand, Dan, when you were shooting some of the behind the scenes footage, you drew some parallels with Oswego.
Yes, and I find from time to time, especially when you're somewhere and it's really sunny out, but you're also freezing and you're getting sunburn, but you have your gloves on, and you're like, well, this doesn't make any sense. What's going on here? And I call it an Oswego summer, where you think it's nice out, but it's really not. It's freezing. And it's a beautiful city up in it. It's on a harbor town. It's much larger than Oswego with a lot of big buildings and stuff. But I feel like anytime I go to some place that's just on a lake, or you're on this coast and there's a beautiful view of water, it just always takes me back to the campus. It really does. And I mentioned it to a couple of Canadian folks that live up there. I was telling them about Oswego and Lake Ontario, and they're up in much further north on the water, where it's more cold and more windy. They look at me like I'm crazy, like I might as well be in Florida to them.
By the way, the show is fantastic. My girlfriend
awesome.
and I have watched the show, and she refuses to watch it by herself. She's terrified
Yeah,
of watching
a
by
lot of
herself.
people say that. It is very scary.
Is the only place we can watch a show on MGM Plus, or can we get on Amazon Prime as well?
You can, yeah, you can subscribe to MGM Plus on Amazon Prime channels. And sometimes some of our series will do what's called sampling, where we'll release a season to all Prime Video subscribers. So yeah, you can see some of our content on Prime Video.
I did actually check that out. You can get a 7-day free trial to
How about
MGM
that?
Plus. So
There you go.
let's go. That's going to be my homework assignment is
Okay.
to do that.
How much can you binge in
great stuff.
7 days?
Exactly.
There's a lot of great stuff. We keep getting a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
Get a lot of new Hollywood films as well. So yeah, I've been very lucky. I've been with this company for about 15 years now. We used to be known as Epix,
Mhm.
multi-platform premium service, and now we've evolved, and we're now MGM Plus, and it's been pretty remarkable.
So was that a I'm assuming I'm going from what I think I remember hearing is that was more of like that was a branding decision, right? Like Epix to change to MGM Plus, similar to like, Paramount Plus and all those other ones. Like everyone kind of wanted to rebrand
Exactly.
their
Yeah, and when Amazon purchased MGM Studios, they thought it's a great idea to rebrand Epix as the MGM. The cachet of the brand it's global. It's one of the largest, most renowned entertainment brands in the history of, the moving image. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to be a part of that.
Hey, that lion roar, man, that's iconic.
Leo, that's our guy. Yeah.
Unmistakable.
So your role, Dan, as creative director, what does that entail exactly? And what would a typical day for you be like at MGM Plus?
So no day is typical. We have an amazing team, production management team, coordinators, producers, editors. We work with a lot of agencies that create content for us as well. So we'll make the trailers for the shows. We'll make what's called episodics for our shows, which are like on the next, the 30-second little preview of what's coming next week. We create social spots, some of the BTS stuff. There's like 2 minutes that, inside looks into the season from our shows that I was talking about a little bit about earlier. Radio. It's amazing. We still do radio, or they call it audio now because it's not just radio. It's
True. Streaming.
podcasts and stuff like
audio, but
that.
I'll always call it radio because that's right. Wouldn't it be great to just have a job in radio where you don't have to worry about video also? I always wondered about that. I hope no one's that I work with is listening to this, but
Oh, look,
Seems like
Those are
much
those are
less
called
work.
dinosaurs.
it
Yeah.
seems like less work. I don't know.
I was a web producer at a TV station in Syracuse, and I left in 2009, like right when social media was starting to really take off. And I'm like, boy, I'm glad I got out when I did, and even when I did work in radio, that was until like 05, 06, 07. 07 was my last year full time in radio,
Hmm.
and I'm like, man, if I had stayed a few more years, I would have had to put out this thing on YouTube, put out this on Twitter, put this out on Facebook, put this on all over the place.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad I got out when I did.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to go into radio too, back at school, but no one told you when you're in high school that, you wouldn't go right to Z100 in New York. You'd have to go to
That's
the
right.
middle of Iowa and work, the graveyard shift at 4 a.m. And it's like, nah, I don't know if that's for me. I don't know. I don't know.
So when you're creating these, you don't do the editing? Like how does it work as far as like the idea comes up, you guys, who's in charge of figuring out the plan, and then how do you guys go about editing everything?
That's a great question. I think it varies from project to project, but we work with our marketing team to sort of come up with some goals. We look at where this stuff might run before we make things. On my team, I have some amazing producer editors that cut the stuff themselves. Otherwise, we go to some big trailer houses and we do work with those guys too.
Mm.
So we'll get the footage. Sometimes we'll get footage before the show is finished, which can present some unique challenges. But every show is different. I think everything is different. Some other fun things we get to do are like the brand spots, they're called. So we'll do an MGM Plus brand spot, and it's all encompassing of all the shows, all the movies, all the docuseries. And it's fun to kind of figure out, how to update language and find new music to tell the brand story, new little nuggets of bites from all the shows and movies to get that message across. And then, of course, the ever important price point at the end of the commercial.
Obviously.
Or 7-day free trial. That's
There you go.
Right.
We do
So
that.
So you'd be considered more like on the production side, or you're more be like on the marketing side,
It's more
or combination of the two?
yeah, it's a combination. So my team is considered creative marketing.
Okay.
So I've been doing a lot of that pre-production work lately and these shoots with the shows.
Mhm.
We'll come up with concepts before we even go shoot anything. And then come back and see through it to finishing. And yeah, it's a lot of people working together, a lot of amazing, talented people. I'm very lucky to work with.
Mhm.
So yeah, it takes a village, as they say.
Do you handle international creative as well?
That's a multi-layered question.
Okay.
Most things that we do create, we do repurpose internationally. So
Okay.
different versions where we will remove, certain text within the body of the spot. We'll have to remove music that might not be licensed internationally. I have in the past at some other places I worked, done stuff for an international audience. But now MGM Plus is now, interestingly enough, expanding globally, which is pretty cool. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
So when you started in the business, you were a broadcast associate at CBS. How did you go from, and I'm assuming when you were a broadcast associate, you kind of wanted to get into the production side of things. How did you kind of make your way over to more of like the digital production marketing side of things?
When I was in high school, one of my best friends, his dad worked at 60 Minutes. He was one of the original folks that worked at 60 Minutes. He was an Emmy award-winning re-recording mixer. And I told him I was really interested in going into TV or whatever at the time. Again, I thought he'd be like, the next Howard Stern, but that didn't work. And all he did is he said, Dan, go into ad sales. No, just go into ad sales. So I didn't do that, but he helped me get my foot in the door with an internship at CBS News. And then following graduation, I was able to get a gig there for a little while. Then unfortunately 9/11 hit, which was crazy. I don't know where you guys were working at the time, but it was just hard times in the TV business. It was really tough getting into it. But I stumbled into another position. They were at AMC Networks. Had a bunch of new high definition channels that were coming out in 2004. I said, this sounds like something I can do. I don't know what the hell high definition means, but I'll check this out. And then, I was familiar with editing. I edited a lot at school at Oswego too. And just kind of fell into promos that way. And it was like, wait a second, this is a job? Like, wait, you could have a career making like these little videos that you see on television for TV shows? That's an actual like job? Wow. Okay, I'm interested. That sounds good.
And they're going to pay me?
They're going to pay me, not a lot at the time, but they're going to pay me. Yeah, I'll work 20-hour days. That sounds great. So, but yeah, that's kind of how I got in. I mean, I think now times have changed a little bit. And like you're saying, like, I think kids do go to school for digital media and creation and like all these cool buzzy words that didn't exist when we went to school. But yeah, I've been lucky. I found like a little niche avenue. And I love it. I love it. I can still be creative at work. It's it's an amazing blessing. I'm very lucky.
Would you change anything if you knew what you knew now back then? Would you change what your career path would be?
Well, I think if I were 3 inches taller, I'd probably be more successful in life overall. But um, I don't know. That's a great question. I still, the dream of that, like, on-air broadcasting thing kind of went away. Once the harsh and cruel reality of it all,
Mhm.
set in, making minimum wage in the middle of nowhere at 4 a.m. It was not a dream. At that point, it wasn't a dream. And I just wanted to get in like the mailroom at CBS and figure it out. I don't know. I like what I do. I like what I do. Yeah, it's been a good run. I've been doing this for 20 years. It's pretty amazing. And to watch how the business and industry has just changed. I mean, it's unreal. It's unreal. When you were talking before, Kev, about, Facebook coming out and all that stuff in 2009, I was thinking, who is gonna watch anything on their phone? This doesn't make
I
any
know.
sense. Why would anyone do that? At the time we had like our little flip phones and whatever.
Yeah.
I was involved in making stuff for phones, and it seemed so ridiculous to me. It was all pixelated and whatever, and you
Yeah.
couldn't get everything under the sun at that time. But
That brings me back to like trying to pull up Netscape in your computer in the dorm and just to get a
Netscape.
picture to download, chug, 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 like
25 minutes later.
one row at a time. The picture would download.
I'm gonna go take a shower. I'll be back in 20 minutes. Let me know when it's done.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's so funny you said that. I was talking to someone at work the other day, and I was saying there was this database that you had to go on in like the library, and it was really slow. And I was like, I hated doing those things with footnotes and like finding like information on this database, and I couldn't think of it. And you just said Netscape, and for whatever reason, LexisNexis. It just
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Lexis
That was when you
Nexis.
took Broadcasting 319 with Fred.
319. There you
Yeah.
go.
Because all
most
the law stuff
feared-
you had to
The
do. Yeah.
most feared course in the Oswego broadcasting program. LexisNexis, that was terrible. And then we got into a whole tangent on Dewey Decimal and the microfiche with the
Yeah.
Oh man.
Love microfiche.
And
That
trying
brings
to print
back
it out
memories,
and trying to
man.
print out those articles from there and stuff like that.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah, that was fun times.
Kids are lucky. You kids are lucky. Yeah.
Oh man.
Unbelievably
Kids
lucky.
in Seneca Hall are really lucky.
Yeah. Heart.
Doesn't work so good in podcasting, I guess.
No,
Did-
not without video.
I don't know what just happened.
Oh, look at that. That was
So
impressive.
Dan just started throwing hearts at us on the screen.
Dan really loves us.
I do. I do. I
Let's
love
do-
what's happening here.
So to give you the play-by-play for you listening, so Dan did the heart thing with his hands, and it turned out to actually generate hearts on the screen, and they would float out. That was amazing.
That was very
Yeah, I think
kind.
I'm going to start a podcast called the Throwing Hearts Podcast.
There you go.
You should do that.
Perfect.
You should do that. We're talking about phones and all that. Is there? Do you take different approaches to media, to promotions, etc., if you know that someone's watching it on a big screen TV, or if they're looking at it on a phone or a tablet or anything like that?
That's another, you guys and your good questions. I don't know.
It's like we went to school for broadcasting.
I'm not prepared. Yeah, a little bit. I think we used to more. I think that was more of kind of a concern, but trends change. Back in the day, you'd have like really small, elegant copy on movie trailers and stuff. And now it's just like so big, even on TV, but that makes sense when you're on your phone that you have big text and stuff. But maybe some shots to answer your question. You have to take into consideration, how is this going to work in a vertical format? If you have like a 3-shot or something, or a real close up on a face, how's that going to work in a 1x1? So yeah, there's a bit of you might make your hero trailer or hero spot, and then if something doesn't work in one of the cut downs, as they call it, for the different various social platforms. Yeah, you might go in and change shots and stuff.
Are there any other projects that you've worked on that have become a highly successful show, or you anticipated becoming a highly successful show and maybe they didn't?
I'm thinking they can't see. I see this steam coming out of my ears. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's a great question. One thing that does come to mind, back in Epix a few years ago, we did a bunch of behind the scenes shows with a bunch of NHL teams, and we all know how important hockey is to the Oswego life at Oswego. Anyway, Kevin will edit that out later. So anyway, that was a very memorable project. We did it for a couple of years. Into the locker rooms with, the biggest names in the game at the time, the Canadiens and Bruins, Capitals. You haven't lived until you met Alex Ovechkin in person. Caps, San Jose, LA Kings, had a really cool experience there. And then it was a lot of fun, getting to know these guys a little bit and then watching them play on the Winter Classic stage and stuff. That was really special. That was a lot of fun.
Nice. How bad do those locker rooms smell?
There's definitely a smell. They have the fans going and the equipment. It's like a high school. I remember what the gym smelled
Walking
like.
by the college with the locker room in Romney Fieldhouse.
Very unpleasant.
I don't think I ever made it into the locker room at Romney Fieldhouse.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff out there now. There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
And there's an audience for everything. And what's surprising to me sometimes is, people do become aware of the service and talk about shows that they love that came out 2 years ago. And it's amazing that I meet people sometimes and they talk about shows that we worked on 2 or 3 years ago that they hadn't seen. And that I always find to be pretty amazing. Because once it's there, it's there. It's there. It might be old to me, who's super familiar, but this TV has legs. Look at, Seinfeld, and people still watch that every day, all the stuff in syndication. So yeah, that's always interesting when people find the service and talk about shows from a couple of years ago. It's like, oh, that was good, wasn't it?
I think of Suits, right? Suits was on what, USA like 10 years ago, and all of a sudden it's one of the hottest shows on Netflix.
It's amazing. And you see those guys from the show and like ads for T-Mobile or whatever. It's just a resurgence of old stuff. What's old is new again.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a show, I forgot the name of it. It took place in like it was like on the Hamptons. It took place in the Hamptons, and it was like he was like a service doctor in the Hamptons. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like, it got recently, like the last couple of years, it got hot again. Like they started showing it on like, obviously on Peacock. It was an NBC Universal show, and like things like that. Like it's just amazing how these shows just resurface after years of not being on the air.
It is, yeah. And we have all these services with a million shows on there, and it's always a challenge to find something to watch. Could you imagine back in our Oswego days having 10,000 channels?
Yeah, right.
Had to click the dial, right? Did we have remotes? I don't
We
know.
have remotes. We're not that old.
Remotes back then.
I don't know. Those TVs were pretty old in those huge wood boxes that they put in the middle
They
of
were
those
big tubes. Yeah.
So
They were outrageous.
Did somebody actually custom build those, or were those wooden things actually available for purchase?
No, they probably had the kids making the teach that were learning to teach vocational.
There you go.
To make classes. Make those big boxes for the TVs. So like, here, you want to learn how to do something? Make this.
I don't think they had remotes. I'll have to ask Mike Donato about that.
Mike Donato. Oh my God.
I saw him actually.
I haven't thought
Not
about that
that
name in 23 years.
I think about that name at least once a week.
I saw him not that long ago going to a Mets game. Got off the train and all of a sudden, boom, right in front of my face. Mike Donato. out of
Did he
nowhere.
recognize you?
Yeah,
No kidding.
You
I
look
don't look that
exactly
much
the same.
different.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
look
look that much
exactly-
That's
different.
true. But he looked different,
He
No,
looks
he
the
looks
same.
he looks the same also.
of course.
Yeah.
Now, Mike was what? He was sports director, I think, at TOP, right?
He was.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think our senior year or maybe their senior year. I don't remember.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Graduated. Yeah.
Small
what-
world.
So speaking of Oswego, what led you to attend Oswego?
It was Mike Donato. No,
That hair.
I think so many. I'm from Long Island, and I just remember so many kids going to Albany and Buffalo and all these. I was like, I don't want to go where everyone's going. Broadcasting was important to me, and a study abroad program was very important to me. And I just kind of fell in love with the campus when I went there. I was like, what is this place?
Wasn't cold, obviously.
No,
It
he went in
wasn't
the
that
summertime.
cold, and yeah, they know when to have you go up, go on the tour. And I was so impressed by, and I think the TV station's 100 times nicer than it was back then.
More than 100. It's like a million times nicer.
Yeah, no, I know it is. And it just checked like a lot of boxes for me.
Where did you study abroad?
I studied abroad. It was 1999, London, and I had a internship at Nickelodeon out there,
Oh, cool.
which was pretty amazing. Got to do a lot of traveling. As a 19-year-old, that was pretty crazy. Going to Paris with your friends and Amsterdam and all over Italy, and it was pretty awesome. I'm not sure how the study abroad program is now, but it's probably better. I'm imagining, but it was great. It was great, and there were a couple other Oswego folks that went with me that I didn't know, which was fun to then come back and see them in situ on Bridge Street. It was very strange.
That's one thing that's one of my biggest regrets in college is not studying abroad. I
Agreed.
wanted to do it and I never did it. And I should have done it. I regret that.
It would honestly to make you feel worse about not doing it.
And thanks.
That was a real life-changing experience for me. Just like at that age to go do that was just amazing. And again, it was before like cell phones and stuff.
Yeah.
It really was. Like I had phone cards. I was like calling my parents on phone cards. It was really wild. And I've never felt so old in my life. Talking to you guys.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. We do this to our guests every damn week.
Yeah, this is how we make people feel bad.
How did it change your perspective, that visit to London?
There's a big world outside of New York.
Yeah.
And kids from on my program from Pitt and Mass and it was like not Wisconsin, some other cold place west of Wisconsin, Minnesota, maybe University of Minnesota. I don't know. I don't think we compared being at cold schools, although looking back, we probably should have talked about that a little bit. But that was eye-opening too. Like there were all these kids, Oswego, very New York centric. And here were a lot of kids from all over the country in a foreign land where you didn't need a fake ID at 19 to go out and go on the tube. You could drink on the train and stuff. It was crazy. Not that I did that, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Condone such behavior, but
Or have a fake ID.
no, I don't even know what that means. But yeah, it was just pretty eye-opening. Like, look at this giant world we live in. It's pretty cool.
And how did you choose where you went? Like, I know a lot of people, most people I know went to Australia. How did you choose? What made you choose London?
I knew that's where I wanted to go. Before I even came to school, I knew I wanted to do a semester in London. And it was weird. I did it, I think, earlier than most people do. I did my first semester junior year. I think most people go a little bit later. So it was weird. It kind of broke up my whole collegiate experience into like the before and after.
Interesting.
Pre-London Dan and after London Dan, coming back with spiky bleach blonde hair. Who is this? What happened to Dan? Why does he have pointy hair and use that yellow gel?
Why does Dan think he's part of NSYNC all of a sudden?
I don't. Yeah, I would have loved to be in NSYNC. They didn't want me. I did audition for Want to Be a VJ on MTV.
No, yeah.
Really?
I did.
You and Jesse Camp?
I think I don't know who won that year, but maybe it was Camp. I don't know. But that was a fun experience.
Tell us
love to know
about it.
what happened to that guy.
Tell us about that. What was that experience like?
I was on. You went into this room, and you're online with a bunch of other idiots, trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And then we went into a smaller room, and there was like a teleprompter, and they're like, "Okay, read this and go." I was like, "Okay." I thought I did actually pretty well. It was just a couple bullet points. It was like Destiny's Child, top of the charts with Survivor. That's like one bullet point I kind of remember. I don't remember the other ones. And it was just like go riff and tell us a story.
Interesting.
I didn't get the job, so
Well, they're lost. They're lost.
Yeah, it is their loss.
That's right.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Damn them.
sorry,
Yeah,
Dave Holmes.
bleach blonde hair.
Yeah, I mean you're welcome, Dave Holmes. Yeah.
Dan, we like to ask our alum guests these questions because, of course, we like food around here.
Yeah.
The big thing at the dining hall for us was the chicken patty sandwich. Was the chicken patty sandwich something that you enjoyed during your time at Oswego? And if so, how did you build your chicken patty sandwich? Like for me, it was like a nice piece of cheese, ketchup, and tomato.
Were there pickles? I remember pickles on it, or mayo and pickles.
Yeah, you could add mayo and pickles.
I feel like I had mayo and pickles. I don't know, but there were definitely a lot of those chicken sandwiches. I remember. Yeah, they were good.
They were good.
They probably still have the same ones. Probably the same shipment. It's still frozen 25 years later. They're probably still serving the same ones.
They are.
They buy in bulk.
They do buy in bulk.
What was it?
Yeah, they bought today's 20 years ago.
That's right.
Just getting around to using them
Okay.
now.
What was it? A hoagie night? What was it? There was like a theme with the sandwiches. Wasn't there wasn't there a name for it?
We had late night. There was late night.
Late night. A lot of
That was in the
subs.
Union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There may have been a hoagie night or like make your own sub night,
Like
or
a sub night or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
something
had
like
sub
that.
nights. Yeah.
Sub night. That was pretty good. The
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
the other question we like to ask is when you're off campus and you're indulging in Oswego's finest dining, was the Oswego sub shop the place to go for your cheeseburger sub?
Definitely for cheeseburger sub. I didn't get them that often. I think I was more of a pizza guy. We'd get those sheet pizzas. Used to get those a lot.
What was the name of that place?
Domino's had good sheet
No,
pizzas.
no.
Seriously. I mean, when you're cheap, when you're poor in college, Domino's was like 30 slices, 30
Papa
slices
John's.
of a sheet pizza.
We used to get Papa John's a lot.
Papa John's. Yeah.
Those sheet pizzas. It was
Pizza
like
Pub, Pizza Pub.
maybe Pizza Pub.
Maybe it was Pizza Pub.
It was like
That's what I'm
80
thinking
$3
cents
for a pizza.
It was 80 cents for a 3-foot pizza.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like five cents a slice.
I have a friend, not to go off topic, but I'm going to go off topic. I have
Yes.
who went to Syracuse that came to visit a couple of times, and we went to Green's Pub still open?
It is not.
No, it's closed a while
It's
ago.
not. It's closed.
Oh man, they had like those 25-cent honey browns.
Yeah.
Remember?
Ah, yes.
Dollar honey browns on
I
Saturday
remember
nights.
those. Yes.
25 cents. I remember everything being much cheaper. I don't know. I think they were like 25 cents or something ridiculous. And we go, or maybe they were $1 and we tip a quarter. And he was like, what is wrong with you? Like, I was like, this is what you do here. Come on, it's Greens, the honey browns.
Yeah, you go to Greens, you'd spend you bring $10 with you. That's all you needed for the night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Those days I think are long gone.
Now you're lucky if you get a beer for $10. Just one beer, one solitary
Just
beer.
one.
What
Right. Dan, as I did want to ask, going back to your role at MGM Plus for a second, you've been with the organization for 15 years. You're in a management role now. You have a team working beside you. Do you find yourself giving pieces of advice, to employees that come through MGM Plus?
I think more so what's great in my industry overall, overarching in my industry, there's a lot of mentorship programs.
Mm.
And I know I had some early in my career. I've been a mentor to some folks. Um, and I think that's a really great way to learn. And it's good. It's also good when it's someone that doesn't do exactly what you do, so you can get a little bit of a different perspective. Unbiased career advice and
Mm.
um, just tips to solve problems in maybe different ways than you're used to. So that's what I would recommend. If you're in this industry, find yourself a mentor. There's a lot of organizations um, to join, and maybe at your organization, there's a program as well.
Yeah, I know it where I work there is a mentorship program. People can sign up to be a mentee, be a mentor. So it really is it can be a really valuable part of someone's career to be in that membership, either side of a mentorship relationships. That's great advice.
Yeah, it's important. I think it's
Yeah.
great.
Dan, thank you so much for being with us. This was a ton of fun, and we greatly appreciate it. And we wish you continued success at MGM Plus.
Thank you guys and continued success on the podcast. Love listening to some of the episodes with some old friends on there. Real quick, do I have a second to just
Yeah.
mention something?
Oh yeah, of course.
Which is really interesting, just to quote Dom Izzo, who I haven't seen in a billion years. But he said something really interesting when you guys spoke to him about the tentacles. And wherever he goes, there's always people from, Oswego graduates that you run into. And I have absolutely found that to be true in my profession. Every once in a while, I don't have LinkedIn or whatever, Oswego comes up, and like throughout the course of my career, there's always been folks like awesome people that have gone to Oswego, and it's never a surprise when it's like someone I kind of gel with and find out that they went to school there. It's very cool, and you immediately feel a bond with that person because you've lived through, the same 25-cent honey brown experiences and $3 sheet pizzas.
And 3 feet of snow.
Yes.
Those winters, yeah. But I love what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. It's awesome. I'm really happy to be here and talk to you guys and reminisce a little bit. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Dan.
We appreciate
that.
Yes, thank you. And that was Dan Platt, fellow Oswego grad and creative director of MGM Plus. Another fantastic and fun interview here on the Throwing Bagels podcast.
That's a really cool gig he's got, man.
Yes.
I love talking to
That's
Dan.
so cool.
He always cracks me up.
He was, and I'm pretty sure. Well, I know I remember taking a few classes with him. I'm sure the two of you probably have at one point or another too. So he was a great guy then. He's a great guy now.
Yeah,
just
absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know that they were filming from up in Nova Scotia. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I knew, like he said, I knew that a lot of these companies are recording shows up in Canada nowadays. I guess it's just a lot cheaper. Probably.
Oh yeah,
I know like Netflix has their hub down in Atlanta. Like a lot of people don't. A lot of these companies don't use Hollywood as much as they used to.
Yeah,
they go to other places now, and they like to, especially like a thing like a show like this that's like a scary show. They want to be in a place that's, I guess, got like a smaller town feel to it, and things like that. So
yeah, it show's wild, man. It's a scary show.
Well, I know what I'll be doing then in a few days is getting that 7-day trial.
Get that free trial, Kevin. Check it out.
Start
man.
binging, my friend.
There's only a couple seasons, so
that's right.
Quick. It's quick.
I think season 3 is sometime later this year.
Soon, yeah.
Soon.
So.
Okay.
You can get 15 episodes in a day and a half.
A weekend.
Oh yeah,
easily a weekend.
No, they're but as Dan mentioned, there's so much content. Much content. My gosh.
It's funny because I didn't watch Breaking Bad when it was like on TV. I only saw it on Netflix.
I still haven't watched it yet.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
What
still
a
never watched it.
revelation. You've never watched Breaking Bad?
No.
It's one of the greatest
I
television
know,
shows
and
of
I've
our
never
time.
watched it.
Wow. Have
Yeah.
you watched The Sopranos?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yes.
All right. We
That I saw live.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Yes. And I've watched it like 3 times since then too.
No, but
Such a great show.
I've never watched that. I never watched Mad Men either. I watched a little bit,
I always, I never got on Mad
but that
Men.
was about it. And
No.
then there's another show. What's the name of it? It's on Amazon Prime. I can't remember the name of it. That's a big show, and my wife and I started to watch it, and then we just stopped. Yeah,
That happens. That happens.
but it wasn't that we didn't like it either. It was just it was a good show, but problem is like we have to find the time to watch it, and then I can't watch it without her because then she gets mad at me and I'm ahead of her, and like
that's you can't you can't get away with. I want to go back to the episode that I just watched and cue it up at that point. You can't do that. Can't get away with it.
No.
So as we speak, it is a Monday, and we are just past the weekend of watching the Knicks lose and the Rangers lose and the Mets lose, and then they won. Mets did anyway. They won yesterday. But news came out recently that the Mets had offered Pete Alonso, he's in his walk year, but they offered him a 7-year, $158 million contract, and he said no.
I mean, if he doesn't want it, I'll take it.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me that he said no. He wants that 10-year deal. He's not going to get a 10-year deal, but he wants that 10-year deal.
Who's his agent?
I know. And it's funny because this agent is now bombing people's careers. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
What he's doing to these guys. Scott Boras went from being the best agent in baseball to now I think all these GMs are like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Well, no one wants to deal with him.
We're not playing your game anymore.
Yeah, no one wants to deal with him. He's a jerk. Bore ass.
And look, I've come to grips. I wasn't happy about it at first, and now I think I'm okay with it now. Alonso's going to get traded. Hopefully the Mets can get something decent out of it. And look, if you want to try to sign him again in the offseason when his price comes down because he's holding out in the middle of February and teams are starting to go to spring training and he doesn't have a job yet, maybe they'll get him for cheaper. Who knows? But if he's going to hit 220, his salary is not going to go up. That's for sure.
No, last year he had 217. I mean, I know. Look, there's more to a player's stats than the batting average, but the bottom line is batting average. You're putting balls in play, and
you got to get on base.
You got to get on
do
base.
Something. He's not walking. He's walking a little bit more than he used to, but not a lot. He's not. He still chases a lot of bad pitches. Like, you gotta, And then when you have Lindor hitting in front of you and he's not hitting the ball that well, it's like you can't have two guys 220 and 3 and 4 in the lineup.
I mean, the Mets need to be sellers at the deadline, right? I mean, they have to be because they're not any good this year. They're going to be a 500 team, maybe a 500
right
team.
Now. Even the Nationals are ahead of them right now.
Yeah, I mean, come on. They just need to sell. And I agree. I think they should just get rid of Alonso, get what you can for him, and just wash your hands of it and be done with it.
Marte is already. I've already got the ticket on Marte to be shipped out. I mean, he's gone because he's in his walk year too.
He's in his walk, right?
Yeah,
and they have all these prospects down on the farm right now.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because I remember hearing last year that if the Mets had traded Alonso then to the Cubs, that the Cubs might have traded Pete Crow Armstrong back to the Mets. Now that won't happen because now Crow Armstrong is playing for the Cubs, so they're highly unlikely that they're going to trade him back to the Mets now. But it's funny, like they could have had him last year, at the deadline, but they decided not to.
So quick baseball story. So I was in Indianapolis recently for a conference, and the AAA affiliate of the Pirates, the Indianapolis Indians, they were in town that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I wound up going to the Saturday game, and if you've never been to Victory Park in Indianapolis, fantastic ballpark. Highly recommend visiting that, taking in a game if you're ever in that area. But we had missed Paul Scanes by a day. He had pitched the following game Sunday afternoon, and then he got called up, and now his major league debut went off pretty well, I'd say. So there he is. So I mean, he's one of the most highly anticipated debuts since Steven Strasburg or whatever.
And he's gonna need Tommy John surgery in the next 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
When you throw that hard all the time,
yeah,
your arm is gonna blow out.
Honestly,
Guaranteed.
All these pitchers that are throwing 100 zillion miles an hour should just get Tommy John surgery in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Right. You're going to need it at some point. It's a guarantee. I'm sorry. Your arm is not built to throw that hard, that consistently. Like, look at some of the best pitchers of all time. They did not throw that hard, right?
No.
They did not throw, like, they threw hard, but they didn't throw that hard, So it's crazy.
And that's the thing. These guys got outs. They just got people out. They pitched to contact, back in the olden days.
Yeah.
They would throw the ball that would induce the pop out, the fly out, the ground ball.
Except Randy Johnson.
He was, Nolan Ryan too.
Yeah.
Ryan, Clemens, Johnson, they all avoided it. They all avoided it. But like, look at, there's plenty of others that could never have avoided it or that didn't throw that hard. I mean, look at the Glavins and the Maddixes of the world. Even John Smoltz, he needed it.
Sure.
Sure. But nowadays these guys are throwing like Skeens threw,
dude.
What was they say? Like, I forget how many pitches they said he threw over 100 miles an hour, but it was at least, I think it was like 10 pitches, at least 10 pitches.
That's like, insane.
Dude, why? Like, you don't need to throw 100 miles an hour every pitch. Like, if you're a closer, fine, but not if you're going to be a starting pitcher.
I wonder if there's a study out there that demonstrates the difference between throwing 100 miles an hour more than throwing like a curveball or something like that. Just like
that's not good for your arm either. But
I know, but I'm saying, like, is there a difference at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't know. That's good. I know.
Well,
I'm sure some analytic dork somewhere has figured that out.
I remember there was an article in The Athletic not too long ago talking about how the Mets are getting their pitchers to throw more sinkers, because I don't care how fast you throw. If it's flat, the batters are catching up to them. They're putting them in the air too.
Yeah.
So you could throw 105. If it's right down the pipe, they're going to get it.
Right. Smashing it. Yeah.
So, so the Mets are like, let's reintroduce the sinker, because players aren't going to be on. They're not going to be on it.
And you got to remember, you don't need to swing the bat that hard for the ball to go that far when it's coming at you 102 miles an hour. Because guess what? You put the barrel on the ball, no matter how hard you're swinging.
Yeah,
ball's going. You know what I mean? Yep. Off the bat, when it comes in 102, it's leaving at a lot more than that. So,
man. So yeah, it's we're not going to talk too much about Knicks and Rangers. There's a Ranger game going on right now, and Jason's got a pause behind him, so we're not going to. But it is playoff time, baby. Like, I have bitten off all my nails. It is like, so like when I wrote the blog about buckling up, totally. Like, this has been an immense roller coaster ride with the Knicks and the Rangers, for that matter.
I was screaming at the TV the other day. My kids were like looking at me like I had 8 heads, and then the Knicks lose on that crazy.
Dude, they got
crazy shot.
That was heartbreaking, right?
And my son starts crying.
Yeah, but Sunday they got their.
And my wife blamed me for it.
Butts kicked, man. Sunday, dude, they're tired. They're exhausted.
But you know what? It's fine. They played like 25 minutes, so they got
a little bit more energy.
Yeah,
listen, the Knicks are going to win in 7.
They got a half a game off, basically.
They'll win in 7. I mean, that's going to go 7.
Look, they got to win tomorrow. They have to win. They have to win Game 5. They have
Pacers suck on the road, man.
Right, but if they can, as long as if they don't win Game 5, they're not winning the series.
Agreed.
They have to win Game 5.
Yeah,
they will.
Well, we'll see.
It's a guard, baby. Magic this time of the year.
It's a miracle. It's open this time of the
Bulls
year.
Fan.
Listen, Bulls 11th pick in the draft, baby. Let's go. Need a point guard
on a draft that's not good this year.
No, it's gonna be terrible.
It's an awful draft.
It's gonna be terrible.
Well, you know what, guys? I think that's going to do it for this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. Want to thank you for listening. Want to thank Dan Platt again for taking the time to chat with us. You can check us out online, throwingbagels.com. email us, throwingbagelspodcast@gmail.com. All our socials are on the web. Chris is doing a great job, and Jason too, of putting stuff out on Facebook and Twitter and Threads and LinkedIn and Instagram and all those places. Good job.
We got it
guys.
all covered.
That's right.
We
do. Until we meet again, Chris,
Kevin,
Jason.
Sayonara.
Let's go Rangers.